What's up, Facebook and YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about the Greek god Pan, and this is very important because we're under Pan energy at this time. Now, the Greek god Pan and the Baphomet are essentially the same energy or the same deity. When we talk about these Greek mythological deities, we want to keep in mind that they don't exist as the state you see in these pictures. There's not a horned dude walking around on the planet anywhere. What I really want you to understand is this, that the whole thing about these Greek mythological deities is that they represent energies or ideologies that have been seeded into the mind of humanity at particular times. So you got to understand that before we move any further, that when we talk about these deities, we talking about energies or sort of like feelings or an attitude and ideology. So during the ancient times, certain ancient cultures had their own deities because certain groups of people had different attitudes or different energies in their environment that they harnessed. So understand that Pan is a Greek god, and the people who created this god was in Pandemonium, and they were in panic mode. In my previous videos, I stated to y'all about how all of these gods are just mythological interpretations of real life phenomena or even elements or certain points in human philosophy. You know what I mean? So each god came into existence during different times, and there are some that was created at the same time. We're not talking about these gods was created by thunder and lightning of some higher god or something. We talking about actually literally created from the mind of man. So understand that all of these gods we're reading about are creations of man, okay, who was personifying an idea or an energy or an aspect to their reality. So all of this is important. So we understand that Pan can be represented in other ways in other cultures and may mean good. So for example, when you look at what Pan is according to Greek mythology, let me read the definition for you. Pan is the god of the wild shepherds and flocks, nature of mountain wilds and rustic music, and companion of the nymphs. So we understand that Pan is a very sexual god, and he also raped women, and he's also involved with pedophilia, and we're going to get into pansexuality later in this video as well, because that ties into this also. Understand that the god Pan is a result of a people who were in panic, and when you go years in panic, everything is thrown out of whack, even your sexuality. So what came with the god Pan in Rome was pansexuality, because when a group of people is in pandemonium, their true nature changes. So you start straying away from even your true biology and what you are, and we get confused as what we are as creatures. And that's why a lot of these gods you may see with a human legs with the horns, but the human aspects. So these are confused gods, people. You got to keep that in mind, all right? So understand that Pan is a very sexual god, frivolous sex, and when it comes to pansexuality, like I said, we're going to get into that later and let y'all know exactly what that is. There was also many gods like Pan before him, all right, older forms of this same energy, all right, like there's a god named Faunus that I will be doing a video on because that's good to understand also. So one thing I want to point out also about when you say Pan is, even though Pan is a root word, that it also has a root word, and that the root word of Pan is Pa. And as I stated in previous videos, Pa is the root word of patriarch. So Pa refers to the patriarch system. Now the opposite of patriarch would be matriarch. So understand that marriage is a form of matriarch, or the Ma root word, Ma'at, what we practice in ancient Kemet, or what you see in a beehive with the feminine aspect in the forefront. That's the Ma system, or the matriarch marriage. Now the opposite of that would be parage, or the patriarch system, where it's normally a homosexually based culture and a male driven theos, and that is completely off balance because the feminine aspect is the life-bringing aspect, all right? So understand that we're talking about a patriarchal god here when we're talking about Pan, which is also the Baphomet. Understand that Pan is also a pagan god. And keep in mind that the root word of pagan is pa also. We are under Pan energies today. We are in panic mode today. And how do they get us under this Pan energy? Is through the media. That's why I keep telling y'all to cut your TVs off. If they can get you to panic, then you're going to be off balance. Panic is not a normal state of being, people. It's okay to panic. For example, if someone walk up on me now and give me a reason to panic, that's okay. But if they leave and I panic for the rest of my life, that's not a natural state to live in. All right. So if you live in a state of panic, then you're under the god Pan, and you're in a culture that worships Pan, but they are unaware of it, because to worship Pan is to emit Pan energies. What is that? What kind of energies do the god Pan love? Well, the god Pan love panic. The god Pan love pandemonium. The god Pan love separation. And you will realize that we all are under the god's Pan energy right now, and that the only way you can get from under this energy is to come out of pandemonium. And to do that, you got to stop panicking, brothers and sisters. Even if you say, okay, I got to panic because I got to react to something that they're about to do. Whatever you do is going to be foolish and going to get you if you do it while you panicking. So understand that that's one of the first things you got to learn as a soldier in any military. All right. Now, panic is also associated with fear, and love and courage is the only thing that can counteract that. Now, let's get into some more deep stuff about this god Pan. So Pan is this goat creature you're seeing, and he has the hindquarters, legs, and horns of a goat. And it's the same manner, as I said, of fun and satire. Satire was another Greek god, and we know that satire is a form of writing. All of this is important because Pan was also associated with very intense criticism, meaning that when you deal with Pan energies, you deal with a type of energy that criticizes others very intensely. All right. And we know that's the society we live in today. Most of our television is based on that alone. So Pan is associated with criticism, that type of energy. I just told you these gods are personifications of energy that we are under, people. Now, when we talk about satire, that's another form of criticism or a form of writing. That's a predecessor of this god Pan. I'll do future videos on fun and satire, even Pangu in the future. Let's move on here. Now, one thing you got to keep in mind is that Pan, the Baphomet, and all of these horned gods are the same deity. That includes the devil or Satan as well. All of these gods represent the same energy, people. Fear, panic, pandemonium, mayhem, chaos. All right. And it's all rooted in heliocentrism. So all of this ties into the flat earth truth that we are receiving in this time. That truth is the only thing that can get us out of our heliocentric state of pandemonium, because the root of all of this is the cosmology, y'all. So as I said, all of these horned gods are the same thing. To show you what I mean about this similarity, Pan is also a musical god, just like they said Satan was, and just like all of his predecessors. So we understand that Satan was a brilliant musician, and every time we see this god Pan, he carries the flute because he's a god of musician. Another horn god you can compare this to back in ancient Kemet is Hathor. Hathor was the horn god of Kemet, which was a calf, or what you read about in the Bible, the golden calf, which was over music. Okay, the cows make the moo sound, and that's the root word of music. Okay, and that's where that come from. Back in ancient Africa, we know that the drum was created, and that your first form of music came from the motherland. So that is what you would say is a matriarchal form of this energy. That is what I would call this energy in its proper place. This is what happens when this energy is harnessed. You get a god like Hathor, which is a beautiful golden calf. And if you read about Hathor in ancient Kemet, you'll see that it's none of this pandemonium and chaos crap that we read about in Pan. So again, I want to point out to you that all of these gods are just different energies or mind states that are personified by the people. All right. And we understand that these these same concepts, when they're personified by Greek culture, we get the evil side of these concepts, all right? Because the rise of Rome was the fall of the true system of nature. It was the fall, basically, of the proper order of the cosmos and the way things should be. And it was even before the rise of Rome, because the rise of Rome was actually just a result of everything that went on to make all of this possible. So Rome ended up being the empire that was a result of all the hard work of pushing this lie and going on crusades, destroying the truth. And all of our reality can be personified in these deities. So when we look at the news and look at the state of humanity today in Pandemonium, we're talking about the devil or the Baphomet or the Greek god Pan, or what they call the horned gods. All of these deities represent that state of humanity, what we are in today. And another thing that you guys like to listen to on the internet is Pandora, which is another Greek god with this Pan root. But this deity is a goddess, actually. She's a Greek goddess. I'll be doing a video on Pandora in the future too. So all of this stuff has a relation. We're going to move on and get even deeper. Okay, so now we should fully understand exactly who and what Pan is. It's an energy. It's a pandemonium type state that humanity is in, all right? And it's a patriarchal deity that originated in Rome or Greece, all right? So we understand that we are still under this Roman power today through the Vatican, all right? You're still in Rome. You're still under Pan energy right now. Nothing changes in this world. It's just recreated and given different names. So the god Pan would have a different name the further back you go into Greece. There's another word that comes from this Pan root, and that word is pantheon. A pantheon, in a nutshell, is basically a whole roster or list of different deities in a certain area. For example, you have a Greek pantheon, you have a Germanic pantheon, you have a Roman pantheon, a Celtic pantheon, and each pantheon has a roster with different deities, and the differences may vary by ways like name and the way the deity look, but the consistency of them all is represented in what I told you previously, the energy or the philosophy or the ideology that's associated with the deity. So the names and the looks may vary a little bit. They don't vary too much, but it's just like different ways people express it. Understand that most European cultures, as I stated previously, expressed it during this time in a very chaotic state because that was the state the world was in then. And we are still in that state today. Now, understand that the Greek pantheon, I'm not going to be naming all of it, so many, y'all. We're just going to concentrate on the Greek pantheon. And I'm just going to name a few of them. And this link is in the description box if you want to go get into it, the full thing on your own, okay? So part of the Greek pantheon was Zeus, the divine god, and that is who you get Jesus from today. So just as I said, all of these gods exist today under different names, and you understand that Zeus and Jesus share the same pictures in a lot of our Christian art. So Zeus, you have Hera, which is the wife of Zeus, and you have Apollo, which is the archery god, which is the god of prophecy. You have Aphrodite, which is the goddess of love. You know, Artemis, which is the goddess of hunt and protection. So understand that I can keep going on with these deities, like Erato is the muse of love and poetry. Eros is the god of love, where you get the word erotic from. All of our words are associated with energy. So, for example, if I say that was a very erotic experience, the person know exactly what I'm talking about. They don't even have to have the full definition according to Webster as what the word erotic mean. But when you hear the word erotic, you automatically feel a certain way. As I talk now, when I say erotic, you get a certain feeling, okay? So understand that words are simply embodiments of energy. All right. The root word of erotic goes back to the god or the energy Eros. So this all just giving y'all an example of how these deities play out in our reality. They are energies. So we are still still under the Greek or the Roman pantheon, and we are still being ruled today the god Pan, aka the Baphomet, aka the devil. Now, this is important because when you're under Pan energy or your society is in a state of pandemonium, that's important to understand that when you're in this state, you can't evolve spiritually, all right? That your spiritual growth is on pause as long as you're in this state. And when you say the word pause, it means stop. And the root word of pause is again P-A, pa, just like Pan, which goes back to this patriarch mindset that we're under. So you don't want to be paused right now, people. If you're under Pan energy, your spirituality is paused right now. And when you flip the word Pan around, you get the word nap. So everyone who's under Pan energy right now is spiritually napping, all right? Your spirit is taking a nap right now as long as you're in this state of panic. So let's move on. So just for your notes and research, in the ancient Greek religion and Greek mythology, the 12 Olympians are the major deities of the Greek pantheon and commonly considered to be Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Aphrodite, Hephaestus, Hermes, and either Hestia or Dionysius. So that is your 12 Olympians of the Greek pantheon, and that's important because when you say Olympian, these were the original Olympians, and we understand that the Olympic Games that we enjoy in our society today are based upon the reenacting of these deities. So we're reliving this patriarch culture and completely unaware that we are all patriarchs and that we are under satanic energy and that we are living in hell or in a state of heliocentrism and pandemonium. All right. And I encourage everybody to check out my video about Hellenism because the Hellenistic culture is a predecessor of all of this stuff. All right. So understand that the altar of the 12 gods at Athens is usually dated to the archonship of the younger Pisistratos. The archonship, in previous videos, we expressed to y'all about the archons and how the archons rule us through fear and they keep us in a cycle. Well, that cycle is what we've been carrying on for the past few centuries. We're still in this patriarch culture ever since Rome established itself. So we're still in that today, y'all, and we got to get out of it. We're under the attack of archons as I speak. These archons don't exist outside of you, people. These archons are manipulators in the film industry and artists and great men with words who can paint illusions and deceive the masses. These are archons upon you physically in the flesh, people. It's not a game. It's not an imaginary thing out in space anywhere, okay? It's all upon you now, and you not knowing that is the reason that they win. We got to get out of the illusion mode, and that illusion mode is a result of us being in pandemonium because we can't see the truth. We can't see the hand behind the scenes who's making it happen as long as we play into their game of panic, okay, people? Understand what's going on here. Something I want to point out also that, as I stated, Pan was known for raping women. Keep in mind, this is not literal. This is mythological. This is like a ghost story, okay? But every story teaches a lesson and it has certain energy associated with it. So there's power in these stories. They explain these energies that we experience in our reality. So when we talk about the story of Pan and him being a rapist who prey on women, in the story, all of the women develop this feeling called panic. So this is when the word panic came into existence. Panic didn't exist before the god Pan. So y'all see how deep this is when I say that the words we use carry the energy that they carry, because the words are simply embodiments of energy. All right. When you speak, you're spewing energy, sound energy. That energy has a cause and effect just like everything else. So when we're in a panic mode and we're in a society based on pandemonium, all of this energy associated with the god Pan will manifest itself in our reality. So we living in hell because Pan and the devil and the Baphomet, which your elite are worshiping, they pushing this energy out here. This is a very divisive energy, and that's why I try my hardest to battle this thing. Now, the only cure for this thing is the truth of the ancients. So the word panic come to us from this phenomena that the women experience through this story of this being preying on the women. That feeling feeling that those women had became to be known as panic, what we call today. And to show you how deep this magic is, that's just a mythological story. But we actually feel this feeling, okay, of panic as a reality. So this is deep energy when we talk about these deities. They're personifications of literal energy that we experience, all right? So understand that during most of these ancient times, they didn't write out equations like we do today. They talked about this type of energy through deities. So when we talk about patriarchal deities, we're talking about chaotic energies from a people who was living in pandemonium. And now they got the whole world in this mind state. So you got to undo this stuff, people. It's very important for your spiritual being. The whole Peter Pan concept, that whole story about Peter Pan has a lot of symbolic meaning to it. I won't get into it into this video. I thought about making a video on Peter Pan and show how it relates to this whole Pan energy. Now, if you would like that video, just get in the comment box and then I'll do it. So another origin of the word Pan is from a combining form meaning all. Now, I told you that the word pan means to separate or divide. And a lot of people may say, well, how can that be if this word origins saying it's meaning all? We're going to get to that in a minute. Stay with me. So originally in loan words from Greek, such as, panacea or pancreas, which is your stomach, or a panoramic view. So what we're talking about when we talk about pan in another way, when we look at it in this way, is to separate by combining all. So it's not saying unifying the whole. It's really saying the most divisive form of separating. So when you say Pan-African, yes, you're saying that you want to unite with all Africans, but you're not saying that you want to unite with the whole world. To pan anything is really to separate it in its highest state, meaning a massive separation or a massive split. Okay, so when you become Pan-African, you don't care about nothing else but the well-being of Africa itself. And that is your main mission and priority, even above the world. And the reason I say above the world is because as a Pan-Africanist, you wouldn't care about what would be considered your enemy's land. So the whole way we think today is very divided at its root. And the world cannot be cured until we change as humans. So to be pan anything is to be separate of the whole in a nutshell. Now, I'm going to share with y'all another way you can pan something as it relates to music. If you do music like myself, now most of the music you hear in these videos, either I myself produced it or Booney Mayfield can tell you when dealing with music. A program I use is called Fruity Loops. A lot of musicians are familiar with it. But panning is in all musical software, the pan knob. Now, all pan knobs are set in the middle, meaning they're not going to pan anything for you. If you want to pan something as a musician, you can turn the knob either left or right. So, for example, how does panning work as it relates to music production? If I'm making a music beat and I have a piano, a flute, and a trumpet, I might not want all of those instruments coming out of the center of the speaker because then they get cluttered and you can't really hear the piano over the trumpet. So what I would do is I would pan the piano a little bit to the left ear and pan the trumpet a little bit to the right ear, and my violin can hold the center, if that's the instrument that I would like to lead or to be in the forefront. So understand that to pan something means to separate it from the center, all right? Means to separate it from the whole. Now, if you was to make a music beat and you didn't pan none of the sounds, you'll still be able to hear the beat, but you would hear all the sounds in the same area. So panning is beneficial when it comes to music production, but we shouldn't be panning our reality. We shouldn't be separating ourselves from the center because the center is representative of the Most High. So in a pan society, the people are split. They're split in the most highest form of separation. Or, for example, there's many ways you can divide something, but the most intense way you can divide something would be to pan it, all right? And that's the state we're in when we're in pandemonium under this pan God energy. And the reason the people are so divided is because we're in pandemonium, people. We can't see the truth. We can't understand how everyone at this time, no matter your gender or your race, should be unified, no matter your religion. All of this panning, all of this separateness is based upon the energy that rule this world at this time. You are under the pan God energy, the Baphomet energy, the devil energy, which is very divisive. Another way that the word pan can manifest itself is as a kitchen tool. Okay, a pan is used to put on a stove and generate heat. So a pan is simply a conduit of heat when we look at it from the kitchen state. And we know that the bottom of the pan is put on fire to provide the meal that is cooked on the surface of the pan. So when you look at that and we say that we're in pan today, and we can even look at it on a kitchen state. If you look at humanity on a skillet, that fire that pan is hitting is the media. So where the stove meets the pan, or what represents the fire that is heating that pan up, is the media. That's the fire that's making you panic. That's the fear. That's the pandemonium. Because the world that is painted to you on TV is exaggerated. Most people I've met in my life are good people. But when you cut the TV on, you will believe you live in a very hellish place. And indeed we do, because what we believe we begin to manifest. So this is very serious magic. Understand that the media is the fire on that pan. And that meal that they're cooking that's being fried on the surface of that pan is the money, the benefits that they get as a result of the heat hitting the pan. So using this from a kitchen standpoint of the word pan, and the government being the fire that's cooking this meal, okay, the fire is the fear. The fire is the panic that they feeding you. That's what's fueling this reaction, that the skillet can even, or the pan can even, cook the meal. Now, why are they cutting that fire on? Why is this fire on this pan? Because they cooking the meal. When they heat that pan up, they get to eat, y'all, and they eating good. They got millions and billions of dollars based on you being in that pan, okay? They get to put food into that pan whenever they get ready and manifest stuff based on that panic that they seeding. So the same concept of the genie lamp, by the act of rubbing it or agitating the lamp, you get a wish granted from the genie. So by them putting fire on the pan, they get the meal from it, which is all the assets and the byproduct, because they got whole industries based on fear and panic. So we got to unplug from the matrix. All you got to do is research and be open-minded. So another form that this word pan manifests itself is in the word panarchy. Now, many of us have heard of the word anarchy, but the word panarchy is universal rule. That's the meaning of panarchy, universal rule. Now, what is universal rule? This is very deep, people, because panarchy is synonymous with patriarch culture. Panarchy is what you get as a result of a patriarchal ideology. All right. So when we say panarchy being universal rule, that's real deep, people. That means a few people control the whole universe. And I'm going to show y'all how this works. It's not in the state that you're thinking. So panarchy is really part of being in a patriarch system. And that's even where you get the word patriot from when you say patriarch. All of these words with the pa root goes back to the patriarch culture, which were Hellenistic cultures, chaotic cultures, and pandemonium. So anytime you're in a society that's under a panarchy, and that's what we are under today, that's universal rule. It's rule based on pandemonium. That means a small group of people produce pandemonium, and through that, they can have a panarchy. They can rule those people based on the fear, based on the pandemonium that they're created. So it's order out of chaos. And that's the whole New World Order thing. And the big illusion is that they keep getting us waiting on the New World Order, people. The New World Order been here, people. The New World Order was here when this panarchy rose into existence. And that was with the rise of Rome. And even before then, people, it happened in ancient Kemet. Rome was what happened as a result of all of those crusades and wars and destroying all of the ancient truth, okay? Rome was the kingdom that was built upon all of that hard work and all of that evil. So today we still in this panarchy, this state of universal rule by these evil people who went around and pan humanity or separated humanity based on ideologies and pandemonium and chaos. Panarchy, patriarch, all of this pa. Now I talked about pa in a lot of videos. I can do a whole video on pa itself if you would like, but it's the patriarch, the papa, okay, not the mama. All right, that's very simple. Papa, mama. Okay, those two original roots. So understand that panarchy is universal rule. That's what we are under today. Understand that a form of the universe, outer space and all of that, that really doesn't make up your universe. The only thing you've been told about outer space have been based on deception, and there can't be an outer space. There can't even be a space since there's nowhere you can go that's void of the creator. There is no emptiness. All of this is important with universal rule is because universal rule is to control your whole universe, people. Now, how do they control it? They control it with illusions, deception. I've been showing y'all how they've been deceiving us with all of the false science and the cameras and the artists and all of the illusions. So that is how you can rule a person's universe. Universe is simply the way you interact with your reality. That's your universe. Everything that makes up your reality, your science, your viewpoint with God, your food, your everything, okay? And that is controlled by a small few. So I pointed out that very fact to say that we are in a panarchy right now, or a patriarch society that is ruled by pan energies, and that's why you keep seeing that Baphomet everywhere. So when you say the word pandemic, the word pandemic is relating to all people, universal. So that's one of the unifying ways the word pan would manifest itself. But understand, as I stated to you previously, that this form of unifying is also a form of division. Relating to people, how you would use pandemic, that's an adjective, you know. So Pan-Africanism, it's relating to a certain group of people. So when it says relating to all people, meaning all people under that Pan-African banner. Or if you were Pan-American, that would be relating to all of those Pan-American people. So understand that when we talk about pandemic, it's a form of dividing something by uniting. So you say that, you hear the term, okay, white power. Yes, okay, all white people are united, but that doesn't mean the whole world is united. Or if you say black power, yes, all black people are united, but not the whole world. So that's a pandemic, and that creates pandemonium, which leads to the next word. Now, pandemonium is wild uproar, as if all demons were let loose. All right. So we understand that pandemonium is what we're in today based on the pandemic, the splitting of all humanity under the guise of unification. So Pan is a very evil energy, and this video has shown that we are under this deity's energy, and the elite is seeding this energy via the media, all right? The Greek pantheon are the 12 Olympians, and you know at the Olympic Games, a lot of gruesome stuff happened. It's entertainment based on pandemonium, based on chaos. So that is what our world is based on today. When you turn on the TV and you got the hip hop housewives fighting each other, and you got UFC, and you got boxing, you got all of this pandemonium that has become a state of being, but it should never be a norm or state of being. Okay, we completely off balance, and we created a whole society based on pandemonium. We actually go and pay our money to see pandemonium. Some people are actually addicted to panic, and you can go and research that on your own. You can be addicted to this stuff. You can be addicted to fear, people. They run a whole scary movie industry based on giving people fear, where people go and pay their money to be scared. So they got a whole scary movie industry in this pandemonium society today based on a fear addiction that is the byproduct of the insanity. Now, another word to show you how this works once again is the word pangenesis. And this is a theory that claims that heredity is a result of all cells circulating freely in the body. What I want to point out to you is what I mean. This theory claims that all cells are circulating freely in the body. that means that each one is separate. So it's a form of separation that we see here again, okay? So we know that all of your cells are individual cells that makes up one system. All of your cells form one organism. Here again, this claim is only a theory because it's baloney. All of your cells circulating freely in your body would mean cells just doing whatever they want to do in no particular order. So again, pandemonium, chaos. And this is how it would relate on a cellular level with this theory that says that pangenesis would be all of your cells just doing whatever they want to do. Each cell going wherever, clashing into each other. Sort of like this solar system that we get from heliocentrism. We understand that in the heliocentric universe, planets and stuff clash into each other and they circulate freely and all of that, just like this pangenesis thing. And we understand that they are both theories, okay, not fact, because the true creator is not chaotic. Now, everything is in order and working together, except for humanity. Could it be our fake cosmology? I think so. So pangenesis is another form of separating and causing pandemonium, okay? You would not want pangenesis to happen in your body, all right? Everything will go chaotic and pandemonium. So imagine how the earth feel if we're the individual cells of the earth and we're in pandemonium. That means the earth essentially is under pangenesis right now. Now that's deep. So another way you can look at the word pan from a computer perspective is that a PAN is a personal area network. So here again, we know that it's the opposite of a connected network, where you would have a bunch of computers in a community connected through, like at some of these call centers, it's a connected network. So a PAN from a computer perspective, here again, we see as a personal area network where you separate yourself from that community. You're no longer part of that connected network. You're now in a PAN, a personal area network. So once again, we see how this PAN energy is divisive. It's a separative energy based on pandemonium. And I'm showing you how this thing play out in so many ways, y'all. I'm showing you how it's all around us, y'all. I'm showing you how to do research, people, because the way they taught us to learn in school ain't learning. We was just trained, people. I'm doing it because I love you. Now let's move on. Okay, pantheism. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about what pantheism is. Pantheism is the belief that the universe or nature as the totality of everything is identical with divinity, or that everything composes an all-encompassing immanent God. Pantheism does not believe in a distinct personal or anthropomorphic God. So in the West, pantheism was formalized as a separate theology and philosophy based on a work of the 17th century philosopher Baruch Spinoza, whose book Ethics was an answer to Descartes' famous dualist theory that the body and spirit are separate, okay? Although the term pantheism was not coined until after his death, Spinoza is regarded as its most celebrated advocate. His work Ethics was the major source from which Western pantheism spread. Now this finna get deep, stay with me. Pantheistic concepts may date back thousands of years, and some religions in the East continue to contain pantheistic elements. So in that sense, pantheism, if you think about it, it's the belief that everything in existence is from one source and is connected to that one source and is and of that one source. That's basically what I've been teaching on this channel. So how is this tricky and how is this deceptive? This is how this works, people. This form of pantheism that we just read about under Spinoza, you got to understand something. Its tendencies existed in a number of early Christian Gnostic groups, with pantheistic thought appearing throughout the Middle Ages. So understand that this form of pantheism was formalized as a separate theology and philosophy based on the work of Spinoza. Now, he was described as a God-intoxicated man and used the word God to describe the unity of all substance. Check this out, because we do that today. We use the word God for everything, and we do that based on this concept of being in a patriarch culture. As I told you, the feminine way you would say God would would be goddess. So if you want to be truthful with everything, every time I say God in my video, I should really be saying goddess. But we've been saying God ever since we was children. So it's kind of hard to get out of your vocabulary like the N-word, Understand that by us saying the word God, we still referring to a he, and that's still wrong because the ancestors referred to the one true creator as a mother, just like Mother Earth. So we got to keep that in mind. That's very important to keep in mind. And I'm trying my best to come up with a better way of terminology with projecting all of this information, because we at a handicap, people. We at a handicap because we're trying to explain ancient matriarchal concepts with a patriarchal language. So that is the big tricky thing about everything I do, okay? And that's a lot of reasons why people say, well, he contradicts himself. No, you don't contradict yourself. You got to understand what's going on. We're like Indiana Jones, and his knowledge is the treasure, but you got to decode it, because as I stated, you're decoding ancient matriarchal science, but you're decoding it, first of all, with a patriarch vocabulary and a patriarchal foundation in your study and concept. So we already at a handicap. But even at that handicap, the ancestors made the science so plain through symbolism that it can resonate with you automatically, because the picture worth 1,000 words. So how they tried to go around that magic was to misinterpret them symbols. Pantheism may appear as unifying and may seem like it's everything I've been saying, but understand that it's associated with Christian Gnostics. So therefore, it's still a form of deception, if you ask me, and it need further research on what exactly Spinoza, who he was, and what his true agenda really was. This go deep, because I'm gonna tell y'all something now. This flat earth knowledge comes from the ancestors, and this is divine knowledge and truth that can set us free. But everything I'm telling you about this pantheism and this Spinoza thing is what we seeing at this time replaying itself in the flat earth community. Because I'm gonna tell you something right now, what I found out when I started delving into this ancient cosmology and this flat earth information, that a lot of these flat earthers are Christian Gnostics, okay? Since I've been involved with this stuff, it's a lot of flat earthers that don't believe in a higher power. They may say stuff like they believe the higher power is love, or they believe the higher power is science, or no, there's an entity, okay? There's an entity. People, it has to be. Look at us. There have to be a higher power that we're made in the image of, that has feelings and a sense of creativity as we do. Look at the world around you. So what I want to tell y'all is, just like a gun, you can use a gun for good and bad. I can use a gun to save a life or to take a life from someone that's trying to take one with a gun. Just like you can take ancient truth and corrupt it in a way to make God not exist with it. Just like you can do with anything. You got guys going back to Kemet, corrupting it into trying to say that the ancient Kemets were homosexuals, taking the pictures out of reference, turning that into something else. So understand and be careful when you're getting into all of your research. Keep that fact in mind. So the way to avoid all of these deceptions is to keep it plain and simple and get back into the ancient cosmology. Ancient cosmology is what remain of the knowledge in its least corrupted form. So all of this stuff, y'all, we got to start putting the puzzle pieces back together. Let's move on. Okay, we're going to talk about now something I know very many of you are familiar with, called Pangea. And before I move on, let me say this. People, this knowledge, I'm just coming into the revelation of it a couple of months ago, and I've been doing extensive research on it. And before I came out public with it, I wanted to prove to myself it was true and have a solid foundation. But I've been looking into the information for at least a year, but these past months, as you can see, my channel have took a deep turn, and I've opened a lot of people's eyes, and that this knowledge is very divine, and I'm grateful for it. It has took me to the next level in my spirituality. Now let's talk about Pangea. We all know that it was a supercontinent that existed during the late Paleozoic and early Mesozoic eras, and basically it was when all the continents were connected and they separated. A lot of globalists use this to support a globe Earth, but what you got to realize, people, is that our ancestors spoke about this Pangea concept, and they spoke about volcanism and the way the plate tectonics work. But you got to understand that everything you've been taught concerning these topics is lies, and that the truth can be found in ancient cosmology. And I'm currently doing research in that area as we speak, so stay tuned for these type of videos about the way volcanoes and Pangea and everything really happen, because we know we can't believe nothing we was told by the higher ups. So I basically wanted to point out Pangea in this video to show y'all this pan concept of how things are separated based on pandemonium, because Pangea was supposedly be this huge continent when all the continents that was connected, and that all of this pandemonium, which was volcanism, volcanoes and earthquakes, separated them. So basically point out Pangea to show you how this pan energy work on all levels, just like with the computer and everything I showed you previously, and how it even works now in the Pangea concept. So this is real, people. This concept, this energy is real, and we're in pandemonium. We're in panic, and we're in a state of division, just like we're seeing how this stuff act out on all these aspects. So Pangea is another way you can look at how this pan energy separate, okay, based on unifying. So now you say we unified in North America and we're our own unified United States, and you got your this union and that continent and all of that who say, yeah, we unified, but we're really not. We're unified, but we're separated. What we're saying when we say we unified is that we're just separated to our highest degree we can be separated. So just like Pangea was unified, it was one huge continent, powerful, sturdy, stable, and because of the chaos and pandemonium with the volcanism, separated. Now you got different nations going to war and everything. So this stuff get real deep, all right? And I'm gonna do a whole video on Pangea. Like I said, I'm researching in that area right now, and I'm coming up with a bunch of interesting stuff, people. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna move on. I just wanted to use that to show you how the concept work on that level. So we're gonna get into pansexual right now. Okay, pansexuality is very simple. In a nutshell, if you're pansexual, you will have sex with any and every body and any and everything. That's all pansexual mean, okay? Chaotic, pandemonium, just like pangenesis, what we saw with the cells having minds of their own, moving around, chaotic. If you're pansexual, that's how you are in your sex life. You're just panned each and every way to no matter what, you're attracted to it. You just, no order, no control. So to be pansexual by definition means to be not limited in sexual choice with regard to biological sex, gender, or gender identity. And in some definitions, you will see that pansexual people engage into all forms of sex, in some cases bestiality even. Basically, if you're pansexual, there's no limits to your sexuality. You can be attracted to a couch, okay? So pansexual is basically just chaotic based on pandemonium, What would that pandemonium be? A pandemonium that's going into the crisis of the individual with their mentality and the way they see themselves and their individuality and self-esteem. So you automatically in pandemonium in your mind before you engage into pansexuality. So again, we see how this pan energy manifests itself on all ways. Pansexuality is very prevalent in our society. I don't even have to get into that. Okay, you know that that's the way our society is today, not limited by any sexual boundaries. Okay, all right. So we're gonna wrap this thing up, and if you want to continue any more about pan, you can get in the description links. I left some of the links that you will need if you want to go back and further some more of this research. It's been an extensive video, so I'm gonna let y'all go right now. I think I pretty much done what I set out to do, which was prove that we are on the pan energy and that this pan god is indeed an ideology that is plaguing the planet and has been plaguing the planet for the past few centuries, and that when we refer to this pan energy, we also refer to the Baphomet energy, the devil energy that you read of in the Bible, complete chaos and a state of hell. Now that state of hell, again, as I told you in previous videos, that is the root word of helios or heliocentrism, because the foundation of all of this energy resides in our cosmology. All right. So understand that this is very deep stuff and that this energy is real. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I hope you guys free your mind. Knowledge is power. New uploads every Thursday. So stay tuned. Peace and much love.